First question, sir. Why teenager commit suicide when they get less marks in public exams?
Why teenagers suicide when they get less marks in their exams? So there's many reasons for that, right? There's many reasons can boil up to the reason for suicide, but let me tell you a little bit of suicide and why it actually happens, right? Technically, what I've understood is that suicide is normally happening because you're holding on to something which you're not supposed to hold on to. You put all your heart and soul onto getting that thing, and when you don't get it, you feel worried and you think that you're not worth it, and then slowly you start falling apart and leaving away this life. So it's like holding on to fire. When you hold on to fire, what happens there is you hold on to fire, you hold on to fire, you hold on to fire, and then slowly it burns your hand. And once it goes to your band and goes onto your brain, you say that, oh, I'm depressed, I'm sad and all. Slowly, this mind gets stronger. You have a lot of free time. You start thinking. And then slowly it goes to your heart. When the heart gets compressed, it feels suppression. It don't want to beat anymore. That time the heart will say, let me leave this world. I'm done with this world. Right? So that is a general process of general negative hitting you, and you bring it into that suicide level. Now, why does the kid suicide? Somewhere around, one of the main reason is expectation, right? People build up this fantasy expectation. People build up this fantasy kind of an expectation which they're not going to get. And they also internally know they're not going to get. But they keep this big fantasy expectation, and when they don't get it, they break down. That is one reason. Other thing is this fantasy expectation, you share it to the world also. Hey, today I'm going to get 80%. Today I'm going to get 90%. Today you could tell all your friends I'm going to get 100%. When one mark is down, you have no guts to go and search or to go and face those people. So you want to leave this world, right? Other thing is, in simple terms, parents' expectation also boiling up onto child, where parents will say, my beti, 100% marks. My son, 100% marks. Sure, this time he's going to crack it. Expectation is being built. And they give them dreams in relation to that fantasy. And the kid only knows he has studied 90%. If you study 90%, you're only going to get 90 marks, not 100, whatever you do. And the kid supports that fantasy of their parents. That's the biggest mistake what they do. Okay, Papa, I'll get 100 this time. He knows you have only studied 90. He knows you have only studied 80. So 80, you're only going to get 10 marks low and 10 marks high. So what happens there is these expectations starts to build up. And once this breaks, you don't want to face the world. And when you don't want to face the world, you just give away this life. It's as simple as that. That is one of the main reasons why kids suicide at this age or at this point of life, right? I hope I've answered that question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So another question: why youngster boys commit suicide when their love is breakup?
Why youngsters go and have suicide when youngsters break up? I keep talking about this again.
Yes,
when the breakup happens, now why does nowadays youngsters go into relationship, right? So what happens is that they didn't get love from their father or mother. Let's take a boy for example. The boy didn't get that much love from her parents because this mother was very busy working on his work, right? So what happened? Somewhere around, the mother didn't give proper love, so he was always insufficiency of that love. He finds he was struggling all his childhood because he didn't get this love, and suddenly a girl comes into his life. And when the girl comes into his life, she starts communicating with that girl. He starts coming and feels that, okay, this love can be replaced, which my mother didn't give me, this girl is giving me. So when this girl is giving me that love, the next thing what happens is he thinks that this is love. So this is what I call as gap filling love, or gap into the relationship, or gap into whatever you get into. So once you have got into this, you are again fulfilling and holding on to this girl, right? I need this girl so that I can get this love completely from this person. When that doesn't happen, and when the breakup happens, again, the expectation is broken, right? And then what happens? Oh, slowly it starts like this. After the breakup happens, the first thing is revenge and hate. Oh, why this person left me? This is not fair. This girl cheated me. You start building up, hitting the third party. Third party starts enjoying with another guy or having a relaxed time. Then you think, oh, I think that I'm not worth for this girl. There is something wrong with me, right? Slowly, you reduce your self-worth, and then slowly, what happens? Then you relate, oh, that is why my mom also didn't love me. I am not worthy of my mother's love. I'm not worthy of this girl's love. So that means it is best for me to leave this world. And that is how that suicide happens.
Yes, sir. What would you do if there is no more tomorrow?
What would I do if there's no tomorrow? Just chill, sit on the chair, enjoy. I don't want to do anything so great at the end of the day, right? Because, guys, if there is no tomorrow, just sit on the chair. Because, anyways, there is nothing else for you more to do at the end of the day, right? So I'm never worried about
money.
No, see, if there is no tomorrow, forget it. What is this money going to do? What is my mobile going to do? Right? What is my dress going to do? I'll remove my dress and sit. Anyways, it's no more tomorrow. Right? So what you got to understand is that if this is the last day for me, I will just sit and be thankful to God for such a great life. For thankful to God that I could help this many people for this time. I'm thankful to God or universe, whichever you believe in, that I had the opportunity to be of service to the world in this time of things. And it just goes on. I would just sit and relax. I'm telling you, seriously, I don't want to rush and change anything in that 24 hours of time. Right? So that would be my answer. I know some of my answers could be strange, but that's how life is simple. Don't complicate it unnecessarily.
Yes. So another question. What are the warning signs that someone might be considering suicide?
What are the warning signs that someone is considering suicide? Sometimes they're so smart enough that they won't show any warning. It's that mindset, right? At that fraction of second. Now I'll tell you something. Someone is going for suicide. If you disturb them, maybe they'll stop suicide. Right? So so what happens is that some people have the power to not even disclose anything to you. They'll put a very good mask in front of you and you will have no idea they're going to suicide. Right? Yes, now, what happens, what you have to see here is when I always tell it in this point of view. People suicide, one of the main reason, and my generalized reason is, it is time for them to leave this world. So they're using the method of suicide to leave this world. That's it. That's how I see it. I can be wrong. Because the thing is, if I get emotionally attached, I can tell a different story to this. But if I'm not emotionally attached to this, what I would say is that they're just finding a medium to leave this world. That's point number one. Second thing is, the question which you asked, there are chances that they can put a good mask in front of them and totally get you offbeat, and they're just suddenly going to do it. In general, when they are going to suicide or whatever it is, your first point you got to understand here is they could be giving you some indication, which means they completely detach from everyone, right? Or they get unnecessary anger which comes in, right? Or you'll see the behavior changing with time, right? But the point is, when I tell this a general statement, a shy person also, you will say, might go and suicide. They are detaching from the world because they love to be alone. There are people who love to be alone also.
And someone who doubts in a relationship.
No, see, relationship is all, from my point, is all secondary to the suicide at the end of the day. It is being built up. And once you understand, once I said the process, right, you're holding on to this fire, it slowly goes into your mind and slowly goes into your heart. That is when you have this self-worth doubt, and then you just want to leave this world because the heart is so compressed with your mind that the heart wants to be free. Heart always wants to be free. Heart always loves to beat. Heart only knows love. But with your mind, you put hate. With your mind, you put the self-doubt. With your mind, you put all this compression on the heart, What will heart do? Go and die, man. I just want to release back. Right?
Yes, sir.
So don't try to suppress your heart at the end of the day. It is going to break away, right? Because no one can control the heartbeat. But there is a practical heartbeat and there's a spiritual heartbeat also. I don't want to get into that discussion to complicate everything. But what happens is that with that mind, you tend to compress that spiritual heart beating. And that is
Yes,
when
sir.
it tricks you to go on to that, right? In general, you can't figure it out. A guy is going to suicide or not. But at the end of the day, maybe the family can figure out, maybe the very close friends could figure out,
Yes, sir.
but still, the greats who have to leave this world will leave this world. You can't stop anyone.
Yes, sir. So another question: if a person seems troubled, is it safe to ask if they are thinking about hurting themselves? Can asking increase the danger of suicide?
Yes, you should never ask a person who wants to see, who you think, why are you doing this? See, the problem here is that is never ever trigger a flame, right? So the point here is that if you think that someone is hurt, don't ask them how they are hurt. Ask them what. No, don't, sorry, don't ask them would you go and do something funny or would you go and do after this thing, because I know like one lady who I talked to, whose husband passed away, right?
Yes.
Whose husband passed away. All their parents were saying, no, you have to go to psychiatrist. There will be a mental issue for you after your husband passes away. I was like, are you serious? Like, really, you have to go to. If you believe that your husband is still there with you, there is nothing to worry about what your husband is going to do. And I know she's never going to do that mistake. But then what happens is sometimes when you get into a lot of medication to your mind,
Yes.
there are chances you could flip anytime. Because I will tell you why. Sometimes your mind is okay. Now, people always talk about this, when you take this mental kind of medications, the chemical imbalance due to which all this crap is happening will be corrected. But my question to the world is, you're all analyzing based on symptoms. And if the person can make their own symptoms, don't you think that you're going to give a medication to a right mind? And when you start giving medication to the right mind, the already good mind gets imbalanced. And that could also lead into the suicide and depression, which people are talking about. Because when you start playing with your mind, there is always a chance that you could slip. And that slip could end up to a suicide. Right?
Yes.
So what I tell people is that instead of talking with them, are you going to hurt yourself, this one, talk to them, what happened to you? What is that thing which is bothering you? Is there some way which someone has, to ask about the outsiders rather than themselves,
Yes.
right? And that is how you go on this conversation. At the end of the day, stop focusing on why they are suiciding or why did they attempt to suicide, because most of the people, some people go and suicide and they come back alive. The first question, mama, why are you suiciding? You should not do that. Ta, 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 you hit them.
Yes.
But the conversation should be, it's okay. The life I know is difficult. I know you have taken this hard steps. Beti or beta, what happened? What is there which we didn't understand? What is there which we have ignored? Is it love? Give me a hug. And that is how you build it up, rather than saying, would you go and do this again? Don't do this again. The community, what they're going to say, and all that, they're building up further pressure again. Right?
We must share.
Yes, we must share. See, I'll tell you something. Sharon, you can have a look at your life or your friends or family's life. What is the topic of discussion on the dining table? It's always world news. It is always what the neighbor is doing. It is always what is happening and what is just being discussed about the other things at the end of the day. Who's talking about mother's news? Who's talking about father's news? Who's talking about child's news? No one has time for this, because what happens? As you said, imitation. I want to be like them. Why that is happening? And you go on like that. The day the family stops discussing about the world and the day they start discussing about their family life, that is when the world will start changing.
Yes. So another question.
Yeah.
What should you do if someone tells you they are thinking about suicide?
If someone tells you they think, I know so many people who comes and tells, sir, I want to suicide, I'm done with life. Right? Like literally, if you see my messages, there is so many people who will just send me, I will like suicide. I was like, first thing is, I always tell, it depends on different people, right? But when I know by the talk of the person they're not serious, I'll say, suiciding is the most cowardice thing you can do because you're trying to run away from a problem which you can actually solve, but then you think that you can't solve when you're living as a day. That is point number one.
Yes.
Right? Suicide is a coward. Cowards are the people who suicide, who can't face the life. So one set of people, I do tell this. I see. I can't tell a general statement, right? Because different people comes in different people. Some people, what I tell them is, it is based on their family love. I tell them that, unless okay, you want to suicide? You have any brothers, sisters in life? They might say yes, no. Okay, do you love your brothers, sisters? Okay, yes, okay. After suiciding, what do you think is going to happen to their life? Oh, all messed up. Oh, so you want to die and you want to kill your family also? Then go and suicide. And many people withdraw from suicide. Right? Then you have the serious cases that is personal and person to person. You have no idea because people don't understand. They think suicide is easy. But when you suicide, you kill a big family. People always forget that. So the community is going to kill the complete family. Right? So don't do that mistake. Who was thinking of doing whatever they want to do right now. Right? So yeah. I hope I have. Sharon is all smiling and this one is getting all the right answers. So it's good. Go ahead. Shoot.
So another question. What is the link between mental health and suicide?
For me, mental health is a completely, I don't want to completely say made up stuff. It is just a marketing kind of a thing which is going on. Clinical depression, only 1% I think of the whole world has, and that 1% won't be talking face to face like me or you are chatting with me. Right? So that is what I believe in. I can be wrong, but my understanding of I've talked to thousands of kids, I've chatted with thousands of kids. Everyone's first statement is I'm depressed, and basically I've proved it wrong with time that they're not depressed. Right? Sharon, what is your question once again? I just flipped off somewhere else. I saw a message and I forgot. What is the question?
What is the difference between mental health and suicide?
Yeah, mental health and suicide. See, there's two things here. Mental health. When you say mental health, what can happen is that just 1 second. I watched this call that is 2%. You could. Yes, you can, Kona. Just a second, huh?
Okay.
Come on YouTube on that. That's much more better. That's why I tell everyone, come on YouTube. It's much more visually. You can see Sharon also, and you can see me. Both are there on the YouTube and the Facebook. Right? Right? It's best to watch there. So the question back to here is that, is there any connection with mental health and suicide? The thing is, mental health is from my point, is it a fantasy made of thing? For example, let me give you an example. Is being fit have something to do with being thin or being fat?
It makes no sense.
What you're asking me is that being fit, you have to be thin or you have to be fat. You can be fit being thin. You can be fit being fat also.
Yes.
Right? So now you're seeing a shot put or a real big fighter. They are really heavy and they're really bulky. You say fit or you say unfit. So mental health right now is revolving around that point right now. No one is clear what is happening. No one has very less limited knowledge of what is actually happening. They're trying to decode the most complicated stuff, which is the human mind. It is not in your control. It is completely in the human's control. Right? Now, suicide and mental health, my point should be kept separate, because if you bring it together, the kid will get medicated and further medicated and further medicated, and various other things. The side effects and all that thing would lead to a bigger crisis which they never thought of. Yes. Right? So I would never link both mental health and suicide. Let's keep it separately, because mental health for me is a marketing thing, right? Because it seemed like fitness. What is fit? They know fat. Oh, fitness is both. So what is mental health? Happy or sad? Both are mental health at the end of the day. If you are happy, you think it's positive, your mental health is good. But if you're sad, why do you think that mental health is bad? You're sad, you have to learn how to manage the sadness and move on with it. Then again, that sadness makes you mentally strong.
Yes.
Now, for example, I get this question most of the time. Sir, I'm very shy. Like, I have this shyness issue. I said, if you're shy, if you're happy all alone, be happy all alone. Why you're being tagging the person as social anxiety disorder?
Yes.
Right? That is mental health issues. Right? So I don't want to talk about mental health. I would normally say mind health. Right? Then mind health is what? See what is good, hear what is good, eat what is good, see, hear, smell what is good, and touch what is good. I'm telling you, your mind will automatically become good. Mind cannot think anything new. Mind only can think what you already know. Give it good things to think so that the mind only thinks about that. Don't try to control your mind. That's the other people talk about mental health. Hey, control your mind. Your mind is a thinker. Leave the mind to think.
Yes.
Let it think, but think good. Now, if you go to the beach, if you go to the beach, do you think about suicide that time? You never think. But then you have some crisis and you really take into your heart. When you see the waves coming, you would feel like dying into it and jumping into it. Right? Sometimes what happens is that the wave is coming, you go and challenge the wave and you get pulled in, they will think that the kid suicided. They'll bring up more stories. They cook up more stories, which is not true, because we don't know what the truth is.
Yes, sir.
So when someone passes away, two things you can do. Just let them leave and pray for whatever they have done, be thankful to whatever they have done, and leave the person. That is the best way, because discussing and all, nothing is going to change. Right?
Yes,
I hope I've answered the question. Don't link mental health and whatever it is, right? So go ahead.
yes, sometimes people have temporary feeling about attempting suicide, but after sometimes they do realize that they were doing wrong thing.
Yes, because what happens is that is now if they did suicide after they realize, so suicide is a learning experience for them, that suicide is not the way to go. Right? I have talked to a girl who literally went for suiciding 2 or 3 times in their life, and now she's living the most happiest life of her life. Right? So what happens is that some suicides is a learning experience. So I'm not saying go and suicide for learning that experience, but what I'm trying to say is that is some is a life experience. So make sure you get that life experience and figure it out accordingly.
Some parents doesn't allow their children to go outside or hanging out around that first time. Frustrated children blackmail their parents that they will commit suicide. How to handle this type of situation?
Frankly speaking, give a kid a whack. What many kids come and ask me this question. I don't have this freedom. My simple answer, I ask these kids that you are staying in your mother's father's home. Dad is paying your college fees. Mother is cooking you food every day and giving. And you're talking about freedom. If you are living in a cage, you have to respect the rules of the cage and stay on with it until you
Yes,
figure
sir.
out your own cage. Right?
Yes, sir.
Most people, what they do is, oh, I want my mama, I want my papa, but I want to go and do whatever I want to do. Right? If you want freedom, leave your parents right now and figure out your life on your own. You'll have all the freedom, whatever you want. But don't stick around with your parents and then talk about this freedom, because it doesn't make sense, because you're holding on to that grace or your dad, your love, you're holding on to various other things and talking about freedom, because that point you're not talking about freedom. Going and meeting my friends late night, going and talking to my friends late night, you're asking only freedom for that. You want true freedom? Make sure you get out of that and get that freedom in the first place. That is true freedom, not holding on. See, for me, at the age of 18, I started working and studying. After that, I never took a penny from my dad or mom for anything. right? At the age
Yes,
of
sir.
18 itself. So that makes me strong and gives me the freedom with time. But
Yes, sir.
not, Papa, I need a mobile. But I want to go and talk to my friends in the late night. That doesn't make sense. Get your own
Yes.
mobile and do whatever you like. But don't hang around with your parents and then ask for freedom because you're living in the cage. It's like you're an animal in a circus and you said, oh, I want freedom. When the circus guys are giving you the shelter home, because if you go to the street, you're going to hit by a car and you're going to die.
Yes, sir.
So make yourself self-worthy. Make yourself worthy for the freedom. And that is
Yes,
when
sir.
you get freedom. If you're staying with your family, the family has a principle, the family have a set of rules. Your objective is to stick to the rules until you grow in such a level that you can talk about freedom to them.
Yes,
I
sir.
hope I make sense on that.
Yes, sir.